This is not one of my normal videos. Specifically, I'm not used to being opinionated in my videos, and I don't really know how I feel about the idea of doing that more often. But this is something that's been requested of me a lot. The season's almost over. We're probably going to get a new version in a month or two. The World Tour Finals are about to happen, and a lot of people seem to want to know what I think about all of that. Where do I think the game is going to go in the future? What do I think about the balance right now? Who's going to win the World Tour Finals? If I could change anything, what would I change? And these are pretty fun things to talk about, but I'm still not used to the idea of being opinionated on this channel, and this isn't something I'm going to do too often, but because it's pretty much now or never with the season wrapping up, I figured I'd give it a shot. My normal editing style probably wouldn't work for a video like this, so I'm just going to throw some online matches in the background. Please excuse my rusty hit. With that out of the way, let's get started. I've really shied away from making content like this that's based on my opinions for a really long time. In general, I've tried to make exclusively educational content that can help anyone, regardless of their feelings about the game, certain characters, or the scene as a whole. And I've always wanted to avoid even mentioning whether I personally think a character is top or bottom tier, with some small exceptions. Because I don't want to shape people's opinions too much. I want everyone to think for themselves and really analyze and decide what their opinions are, because I think that's really important for improving as a player, and maybe even just for enjoying these games too. So when I talk about characters or mechanics, I might say what the buzz is lately or what general opinions are floating around, but then I'll try my best to show you all the good things about a character, how much potential they have, and why you might enjoy giving them a shot. And sprinkled between everything, I want to show you their shortcomings as well, and counterplay to all of their good things. I don't want anyone on either side of a matchup to feel lost. I want you all to have the tools to piece the matchup together yourselves. And I think being able to do that is really damn cool, and I think it's an important aspect to improving as a player. So I actually really hate when people take characters and just throw them in a box saying that they're trash. Whenever you do that, you're choosing to ignore everything that's good about them, where they have room to grow. And it seems that a lot of the time when people hear top players say these things, those people might start to form opinions that are based on nearly nothing. And these almost baseless opinions tend to get weirdly heated. The next thing you know, we have the community yelling at each other about how Piccolo or Broly are bottom tier for nearly a year, and then at some point mid-season everyone starts arguing about how broken they are. Yes, top tiers exist in DBFZ, and even I think GT Goku is bad for the game's health in a lot of ways. And yes, bottom tiers exist too. But I want to make an important note that I don't think the gaps between top and bottom tiers are that big, especially when compared to other games. I think most top players feel that way, probably because of their experiences in other games they might have played over the years with actually terrible balance. Have you ever noticed how a top player's tier list might only range from S+ tier to A tier, or maybe S to B? That's because they think every character is at least able to play the game decently well. Everyone has a passing grade. I played different games where some characters had actually unwinnable matchups against some top tiers, and that is a wildly different experience than what we have in DBFZ. Overall, I have to say that the game is in a pretty good place right now. I really do think you can pick up nearly any character and find a strong team with them, improve as a player with them, and even compete with them. It's fun to talk about tiers, speculate what the best teams are, who will win which events with which characters, etc. It really is, and I understand that. But I dislike how a lot of times people seem to confuse this character isn't top tier with this character sucks. And this is a big part of why I'm reluctant to make a tier list, even though so many of you have requested that I do so. So what do I think of the game's balance right now? I actually think it's pretty solid. Like I said, I've had plenty of experiences with games where the gap between tiers was huge, with plenty of 7-3 matchups or worse. In a team game as flexible as DBFZ, you can almost always get creative and find a team that emphasizes any character's strengths and minimizes how often their weaknesses come into play. In a game like DBFZ, you have strong universal mechanics like Reflect, Super Dash, and Spark to give you extra tools to compete in areas where some characters don't have strong unique options. I guess all I'm trying to say is that I really do think every character in this game gets a passing grade. GT Goku might have aced the exam, gotten all of the extra credit, and earned an A++, but I think even Krillin and Blue Vegeta earned at least a B. And apparently, even Goichi thinks so too. But if you really want to know who I think is the best, I'd probably tell you that the current top 5 looks something like obviously GT Goku and probably Kid Buu, and then probably Teen Gohan, Adult Gohan, and Bardock in some order. But this is a pretty common opinion. I'd wager that nearly every noteworthy competitive player has most of these characters in their top 5, even if the orders aren't always the same. I just really don't want to make a full tier list and then have someone look at it and echo, "I knew it, he said X or Y character is trash!" without really paying attention to the part where I mentioned that even the worst characters would get an A or a B in my eyes. I don't mind talking about these things, but attaching these thoughts to a tier list and sending them out into the wild just doesn't sit well with me, so I won't. If you really want to know what I think about anything in this game, drop by my stream sometime and just ask, and we can talk about all the good and bad things about it. Let's switch to talking about something a bit more exciting, at least to me, the World Tour Finals. Who's gonna win? Honestly, I have no idea. And that's what's so exciting about it. For the first half of the year, it seemed like no one could beat Goichi. The only person I recall taking a set off of him in that period was Fenrich, who reset the bracket at Versus Fighting before Goichi eventually came back to win in the end anyway. But then Evo happened. Goichi won, but only by the skin of his teeth. Fast forward to Spain Saga, and he finally loses a major tournament thanks to Sonic Fox in a fairly convincing Grand Finals too. So now the feeling that Goichi was locked in to win has dissipated, and honestly it feels like it's super up in the air who will win in the end. It seems like Goichi could beat anyone, but recently I feel like Sonic Fox might have an edge and could be more likely to win if they play. So if the two of them were to play somewhat early, the entire bracket could get blown wide open. We could end up in a timeline where Goichi plays solid and gets to Grand Finals no problem, or he could get sent to losers before making it to Winners Finals, and then anything could happen. It seems that with so many of the players who are qualified, if they have a good day, then they can beat pretty much anyone in the room. Even with how amazing Sonic Fox has played this season, being the one to finally take Goichi down, they've still lost tournament sets to several players who are qualified, including Shanks, Wawa, Fenrich, Chris G, and Killsage. And most of them have been able to beat all of each other depending on the day as well. And I haven't even mentioned Super Noon, Apology Man, Kazunoko, Mato, Bonbabon, B, or Mator yet. I think Goichi is the most important person to watch in the bracket. If he does well and overcomes Sonic Fox, or doesn't end up playing him at all, then I fully expect him to make it to Grand Finals. But if Goichi gets sent to losers before top 3, then this entire tournament becomes anyone's guess. I could see timelines where a bunch of players end up having a great day and end up winning. Wawa, Killsage, Super Noon, Chris G, Fenrich, you name it. I really can't wait to see what happens. I think it's going to be a really exciting tournament to watch. So where's the meta at right now? The two biggest talking points I see floating around are pretty obvious. People are talking about GT Goku, and people are talking about the so-called snap meta. I think anyone who plays this game competitively can see what's wrong with GT Goku at a glance. He does massive damage, he can stack supers with no penalty even though that was removed from most of the cast. He can set up the easiest 50-50 mix-ups in the game with nearly any assist, and he has Spirit Bomb, which sets up true 50-50s that nearly always lead into death, forcing a spark from the opponent. On top of that, he's incredibly useful even when he's not on the screen, because his assist is so damn good in neutral and on offense. That's a lot, and it's no surprise that nearly everyone says he's the best character in the game. But believe it or not, I'd actually take this any day of the week over what we had last season, Gotenks. My goodness, what a character. Do you all remember Ghost Oki? It still works today even with Gotenks nerfs, but it isn't quite as good. Do you remember how he would cover every recovery option simultaneously, combo on hit, and get several 50-50 mix-ups in a row if you happen to block? Do you remember how you couldn't spark during the seemingly endless true block string to save yourself? Do you remember how guard cancel would get smacked on incoming and was essentially not an option at all? Do you remember how he built meter during this whole process of locking you down and mixing you up, so he could always afford to set it up again on hit or spend meter for more pressure or mix-ups again? From nearly any touch, even with both assists already spent, you'd find yourself in a situation that sounded something like this. It plays like a fever dream. I got knocked down. Ghost Oki seems to be covering all of my options. I can't spark or guard cancel. I guess right on the first high-low mix-up. I guess right on the second high-low mix-up. Oh, he got his assist back. I guess right on the third high-low. I guess right on the fourth. Now he's spending bar. I guess he's plus. I reflected him though. 2M reached me anyway? I'm blocking again. His assists are back. I guess right on the first high-low. I got hit by the second high-low. The fact I lasted this long is a statistical improbability. I guess I should just be happy I lasted so long. I'm knocked down again. How on earth does he have meter to set up ghosts again? The next hit can KO my character. I gotta try something risky here. Okay, my reflect worked. Let's guard cancel quickly. They got hit by another ghost and incoming. They used their last ghost to set up a snap. My first character is on his way in again. What do I do? I'm blocking a spinning top. An assist is locking me down. He went high. Let's see how character number 2 fares. Alright, well that was fun. Even if you want to argue that GT Goku is stronger than Gotenks was, which is totally understandable, you have to admit that at the very least, he hits you and gets the job done quick so that you can play again soon. Which is a lot less frustrating and potentially more entertaining for both the defending player and the viewers than watching their slow, inevitable demise play out in the same way, match after match. At least, this is just my opinion. It's basically this reason that has me happy and content with the current system mechanics in the game. I love that we can spark while in block stun now. I love that some of the strongest mix-ups in the game come with the drawback of being able to be guard cancelled in some situations. I think these feelings contribute a lot towards the other problems that many people have with the current meta, snapbacks. Since they lock you out of having options like guard cancel and force you to block, it takes a lot of interactivity out of the game for a period of time. Even though I personally don't think that it's overpowered in every situation where it comes into play, and I don't think it ruins the game as a whole, I completely understand how unfun it is to be in this situation, especially when it loops back into itself seemingly endlessly. You can find yourself going nearly a minute at a time cycling between defending and getting hit without ever going back to neutral. It's frustrating, and it can be boring. It almost makes you appreciate how GT Goku just hits you twice and gets the job done right away. I don't want to go too much into potential changes for Season 3, but I expect both GT Goku and snaps to be two of the obvious things that are looked at by the developers. Hopefully, we see some small tweaks to character balance, like making Spirit Bomb launch you all the way into the corner so GT Goku can't get left-right mix-up off it anymore. And hopefully, they can get creative adjusting how snapback works without making them too weak or too strong. One idea as a potential Season 3 change that gets thrown around a lot is adding a second assist as an option for each character. Capcom has done this sort of thing throughout Street Fighter V's life a few times, adding secondary V-triggers and V-skills to each character. From a balance perspective, I don't think this is entirely necessary, and could actually open up a whole can of worms. But from a fun perspective, I think it sounds awesome. People could be a lot more creative with who they throw on their teams, how they approach neutral, how they structure their combos, and probably a lot more. Characters like Krillin or Janemba, who are commonly looked past just because of how difficult it is to use their assists, might become common to see overnight simply because of a new assist. It would also be interesting to see how competitive players choose their assists in tournament. I imagine many people would love to play 18 if she had a strike assist for combos and mix-up. But maybe there would be matchups where you want to switch back to her barrier assist so you could absorb an opponent's strong neutral tools. The idea of this is exciting, but we'll just have to wait and see if the developers are willing to put in the time and energy to make it a reality. I've been rambling about who knows what for a while now, and I think this video might start getting a bit too long if I keep going. I'm always worried about putting out videos that are based almost entirely on my opinions, but this is something that was requested heavily of me, so I figured I'd give it a try. Hopefully you at least found it interesting. If you want to learn DBFZ with me, then consider subscribing to the channel or hanging out with me over on Twitch. Character guides and general DBFZ videos are still on the way. I'll be back with more soon. Thanks for watching.